There is a university on the East Coast that have just announced that they're going to discontinue issuing laptops to their students. From here on out, they're only issuing iPads, and they're going to provide all of the students' textbooks via that device from here on out. And the advantage that they were quoting is because the device is network compliant, that if there's any modification to the textbook, there is no such thing as an addition anymore. That textbook is updated on the spot at the moment.
Huh.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of angry textbook writers.
Well, exactly. The whole publishing industry is in an uproar at this point. And if you extrapolate that even further, not only is the textbook industry upset, but the people that are writing the textbooks are all wondering, how are we going to get paid?
Right.
So we're witnessing yet another tsunami in industry, but the publishing industry, no different than the music industry, is going to be hit and hit hard, whether it's the iPad or whatever, device XYZ. That technology is finally here, it's finally mature, and it's going to make an impact, no doubt about it.
Can't these companies like that run iPad, show that, find a way to where they can pay these authors and these publishers for doing what they do up to the point of the printing? And maybe the having more outlets, having it online, they might have more customers. Or do you think that there's more fear of pirating?
The model changes now. When Apple changed the music industry with iTunes, the model was turned upside down. You used to go to the store and get this piece of plastic, right? And that was what was being distributed, was really that disc. With the iTunes model, you were now paying per song, and the artists were being rewarded not for an album of music, but an individual piece of music. One of the things that I've been watching that the conversation is emerging is basically a pay-per-view. So when you fire up that newspaper, you may have a subscription, but it's going to have to be small because everybody hates paying for anything on the internet. But the individual that wrote the article might be paid based on how many people actually read it. So when you're looking at that electronic newspaper, if nobody reads that article, that individual won't get compensated. Everybody reads that article, then they will. And that's a whole different mindset, and it's a whole different model on what the publishing industry could look like in the next 5 to 10 years.
And they've talked about the iPad. Right now you have you can get deals and get grandfathered into it right now, where you pay a certain amount and you can do whatever you want with it. But that's going to go away. I hear that it's going to be the pay-per-view if you want to use
ultimately, I think that's the model that we're going to see. I really do.
And how is that? I mean, is that going to slow this demand for these iPads down a little bit?
I don't believe so. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see an independent publishing industry emerge no differently than we saw the independent film industry begin to emerge. The barriers to entry start dropping. So by that I mean, in the old Hollywood days, unless you had a couple 100,000 square foot studio and a lot of technicians and a lot of very well-trained, highly paid people, you couldn't make movies. Right. Look at YouTube.
Yeah.
There's some remarkably interesting things going on out there today, and it's just one person, one camera, one PC, and they're cranking out some very creative stuff. What we're seeing is that the barrier to entry to be creative is dropping through the floor in every media that we've ever seen, and digital media is the mechanism in which that's occurring. Machines are cheaper, cameras are cheaper, processors are cheaper. I could go on, cheaper, 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 faster, faster, faster. It's just, I don't want to project what it looks like in 10 years, other than I can guarantee it's not going to look like anything that we're accustomed to seeing right now.
And the catchword I hear is, well, a couple of them actually. I hear convergence. Another one I hear, and you mentioned one person, one camera, and I'm wondering if that has to do with Singularity. And I'm not talking about my love life. So.
Well, that's a different show, I'm sure.
A very sad show.
Yeah, it's a drama.
It's a tragedy. Are you kidding? Actually, it's a comedy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Comedy of errors. Well, actually, sorry about that.
You know me well. Hey.
The Singularity is something that I've been watching for a long time. And the concept of the singularity was proposed in the late 80s by a gentleman by the name of Vignor in a series of science and science fiction white papers, if you will, in which he asked the simple question. He says, as we get deeper and deeper and deeper into cheap processors, advanced telecommunication systems, and our ability to start wiring our consciousness into the network, what happens to the role of the individual? And what he proposed is that over time, the role of the individual begins to funnel into more and more of a group global consciousness, something he named the singularity. Now, let's use Facebook. I'm picking on that today, but bear with me. The Facebook-like environment, if you back up from a 100,000-foot view, what it begins to look like is this remarkably interesting community of hundreds of thousands, millions of individuals that are all communicating about similar things. And so their mindset, their viewpoints all start to converge so that they become closer and closer and closer and closer to viewing their worldview in an identical fashion. That's the context of the singularity. Now, the singularity also proposes that as we dig deeper and deeper into electrification of our personal selves, and this is where I get a lot of objections from folks, so let me just lay this out. I guarantee on the planet right now, there is a significant population that has some kind of electronic device in their heart keeping it regular. They probably have a significant population that has electronic augmentation to their heart systems, to their legs. They have artificial arms. So the singularity says if we take everything that's going on with our augmentation, that's called augmentation technology, and we kind of project that forward, after a while, what our biggest concern is, we're going to have to define what it is to be human. Because we don't know what that is today, but what happens when 75% of that person that you're talking to me, which might be me, by the way, is composed of electronic parts? There is a whole series of studies going on right now with chip implantation in Alzheimer's patients to help restore their memory. Once you start putting chips in people's brains, the whole definition of what human begins to become suspect. Because there is a phrase now, and this is my cautionary tale, because whenever we name a technology, it means that we're on the verge of using it, but they call it artificial telepathy, in which we begin to wire human consciousness into each other. We're that close.
You know, I was going to make a...
Don't want to get science fiction on you.
I was going to make a Darth Vader joke when you were talking about being here in 75 years and being mostly robots.
Start grabbing your neck. Huh?
But I was afraid people were going to think I was a dork. But now here I go saying that you're going to say about connecting our minds. Now we're the Borg. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, all you dorks galore.
Resistance is useless.
Rejoice. Yes, exactly. So
anyway, I recommended that there is a number of websites focused specifically on the singularity. Ray Kurzweil wrote a remarkable composite of everything that's being talked about the singularity. And then back to using social networking and things like LinkedIn as your career pathing tool, not only for the singularity, but for anyone that has any interest in any particular career function, go find that networked environment, subscribe to the automatic email distribution list, and now on a daily basis on your iPhone or your BlackBerry, you're getting 40 or 50 articles that are germane to your industry that you'd best be on top of if you're going to remain current in your own field. That's my soapbox for today.
And what a good one. I mean, you know, we're going to be robots in the future.
No
you forgot that part in your summary, though, all right? But, you know, it could be fun. So, and this has been fun, actually. We really appreciate you coming by, Kim Gordon, to really, freak us out about the future.
My pleasure.
Kim Gordon, everybody.